This is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I don't know if you can see the background here. It's got daisies and then there's that leaves. I can't really get it so you can see it on this background. But I'm going to do a bumblebee version today. There's a vellum leaf there. Okay, so let's get started. I'm using the Amazing Thanks dies. I'm using Stitch Greenery die. This is that one that's on the background. I'm using Simply Marbleous Designer Series paper, which was from Celebration. I have a scrap of vellum, some scraps of Whisper White, a scrap of Bumblebee, and this is 2.5 by 4 inches, thereabouts. I have 3 strips of 1 inch by 5.5 inch of the Designer Series paper. 2 of them are for the card, the other one's scrap to punch out the centers. I have this piece of basic white, which is 3.5 by 5.5, and I've run it through my die cutting machine with that greenery embossing folder. I'm not even sure you can see it. There you go. And then I have my card base, which is thick, which is 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it and folded it at 4 1/4. And I'm also going to be using the bough punch, the medium daisy punch, and a 1/2 inch circle punch. This is retired, but you can use any circle that you have that would fit in the center. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is these 2 pieces here. And on the front of my card, I'm going to mount these. I want to use the softer side for the outside. So put glue on it. I'm going to put one on this edge. One on this edge. I should have left it a little longer so I could trim it, because they're a tiny bit short, but that's alright. It'll work. I'll show you. I'm going to bring in my... I'll use this one because it's handy. Trim this a little bit shorter. This card might be a little bit bigger. Yeah, the card front is a little too big. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to take this 3.5 by 5.5 inch piece that I've run through that with that die, the greenery die. And I'm going to take 2 of the scraps of white, and I'm going to start punching some daisies. And I'm going to just start laying them on here. I'm going to try to cover as much of the front of this as I possibly can. You want some to hang off a little bit. I'm not having them overlap. all different depths, and there's more hanging off of some than the other, that kind of thing. Okay, I can get one more here. If I can pick it up. Then we can do a couple partials. Might need another scrap, I'm not sure. As much of it as I can. Can hang off the edge. Just going to cut it off anyway. One up here. One down here. It looks pretty good, I think. Okay. I'm going to one more partial. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and glue these down. I'm going to start with this one. Whichever side you want up, it doesn't really matter. And I'm just using a little bit of glue. Don't need much. I'll go ahead and glue them down. You could use the adhesive backs sheeting if you want. I never remember to use it. Okay, so I'm just going to continue gluing these on. It's white on white, so it's hard to see with my bright lights. So maybe I'll turn them down at the end so you can see it. It's really pretty, I think. This is one that I thought of when I was sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office for my husband. He had an appointment the other day. partial here. Okay, then we're going to come in with our snips. I'm going to turn it over to the wrong side. We're going to clip off all this edge that's hanging off. Probably better to use a pair of snips that you don't care if they get gluey. And I'll show you how to clean them in a minute. Okay, now I think that's good. Now we're going to take this little half-inch circle punch and this last piece of the DSP, the scrap, and we're going to punch circles. One for each one of the flowers. And again, you want to, even the ones that are hanging off. And I'm turning the paper back and forth so I can get more out of it. I don't think I'll need all of it, but there's less waste that way. It's hard to tell which side is the right one on that one. I think I only need 3 more. So no circle here at all. Decide, do I want to add any there? Let's go ahead and punch one, and it's not going to have much of one anyways. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those on. You could pop these up if you wanted. I wanted to keep them flat. Two more. It's not a difficult card, it's just a little fiddly. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to turn it over and cut off those edges. Now we're going to adhere that to the front of our card. We're going to want to try to keep the same amount of border on the two sides. If it gets a little bit uneven, that's fine too. That's why I did it the 1-inch strips. Make sure I get enough on the edge here because this is embossed. Okay, just gonna have about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little more. On either side. Okay, so there it is so far. Okay, now we're going to bring in our little die cutting machine. And I need the white plate, my cutting plate. I'm going to use this piece first, and another cutting plate. I'm going to come in with the thanks dies. I'm going to use the shadow for the bumblebee. It doesn't need to be as big as that, but awesome. It's the shadow. And then I'm going to come in with one of those scraps of white. I'm going to cut out this other, the detailed one. That one's stuck in the die. I'm going to bring in my piercing tool. And you'll see there's little holes here. That's what those are for. You just push in those little holes and it pops it right out. I think they're called registration holes. That's exactly what they're for, it's just so you can pop those out. Okay. I'm done with the machine. Now we're going to bring in our vellum and the bow punch. We're going to punch out the bow. Just need the big one, but if it gets stuck in there, punch your way out. Okay. Alright. Now we can assemble this card. Let's bring this in. And this is one that would be good to put that adhesive backing on, but I'm just putting a little bit of Tombow on the back. I'm not worrying about the little spots too much, but getting all of the big spots. Just little dabs, little dots will work fine. Okay, I'm going to set that on top of this big one. I'm going to start at the T, center that up, just wiggle my way down. Okay, got that. Let's turn it over. Let's bring in some of the little dimensionals. The bigger spaces we can put a little dimensional on. Okay, go ahead and take those backs off. And I'll bring in my card. I'm gonna take this green and hover over where I want this to be. Kind of want it there, so I'm going to make sure it sticks to the back of that die cut. And I'm going to go ahead and put my die cut down. There you go, there's our card. You can make it in any color you'd like. There's the one we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. This is Flirty Flamingo, Bumblebee. There you go. Well, thank you for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. This is the card with 4 different colors. Just thought I'd share it with you.